Alrighty, so if you can believe, tomorrow we actually have some competitive action involving MLS team. Yes, that's right. Feels like the offseason is about to be over, and you know that the regular season is about to begin when we're starting to talk about the CONCACAF Champions Cup and MLS team, of course, involving. And tomorrow we will be seeing our first MLS team that's going to be enter in this competition with San Diego taking on Pumas, and I will do a review of that game after it concluded. The first leg, of course, that is for any specification, and it'll also be the first review of 2026 as well. So, with this being the eve of the beginning of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, I definitely have to do a video talking about MLS teams that is most likely win this year's edition of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, because it's hard to believe that, with the way that I know MLS team has definitely been more competitive in this competition, and I think gone are the days where Liga MX have been single-handedly dominate MLS team. I mean, still there are some cases where Liga MX is still better against MLS team in some cases, but as we have seen lately, the tie has started to kind of turn a little bit, and that we have seen some MLS team that have been able to get big victory against Liga MX, and even doing it the hard way too, going down to Mexico and getting the big victory as well. And it's also been shown that when you look at MLS team in this competition. I think going all the way back to 2017 or 2018, if I'm not mistaken, that we have seen the MLS team made it all the way to the final every single year. So that just shows you how competitive it is. Well, actually, all but one year. I think there was one year that none of the team made it to the final. I believe it was 2022. That is, but yeah, this is definitely a video about not only talk about which MLS team that most likely is going to make it to the final in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, but who is going to be joining the Seattle Sounders as the only MLS team that have conquered the mountain of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And we start off with number 9, the least likeliest team that will make it into the CONCACAF Champions Cup final and win it all. And that, of course, is the team that we're going to watch tomorrow, San Diego FC. So, unfortunately, I have to put the expansion side. Well, they're no longer an expansion side. This is their second year, but they're the expansion side from last season that is the least likely to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup, simply because the fact that they have the toughest road to get there, at least in the first two rounds. I mean, after playing against Pumas, and I believe they're the only MLS team to face against a Liga MX side in the first round. Get the Royal playing against Toluca. So yeah, those are two really good Liga MX team, especially Pumas have got off to a great start to the beginning of the, I believe it's the Clausores season. I've never been able to kind of distinguish what is the Clausores and what is the Apertura season. I'll get better as the if I do want to watch Liga MX more often, but there's no doubt that San Diego definitely have a really tough path in the beginning, and I won't be surprised it might be a one and done, just like what we saw with St. Louis in their year following an expansion season after a successful expansion season. Yeah, they were knocked down in the first round at that. Then we look at number 8. Let's say the Philadelphia Union. So for the Philly Union, and actually I probably should bring out the bracket as well on my phone as kind of a reference guy. But yeah, for the Philly Union, obviously I think they definitely will win their first round matchup. I believe they're playing against this team called Defense Force, if I'm not mistaken. I took a look at it. Yeah, it is. They're playing against probably my favorite name in the CONCACAF Champions Cup this year as well. But then after that, they have to face against Club America. And then if they do get by Club America, there's a chance they might face Miami or Nashville. Yeah, that is a really tough row ahead to the final as well. And I know some people say, well, Club America, they haven't had a great start to the beginning of the Liga MX season, but it is still Club America. I mean, they are definitely the powerhouse in Liga MX, and knowing the fact that the Union have played Club America before and haven't had a lot of success against Club America, and knowing that this is also a Union team that is still in the midst of a bit of a retool this off season, yeah, I doubt that this team is going to go really far in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Then we look at number 7. Let's say FC Cincinnati. So for Cincinnati, again, this is a team that I expect they should be able to win their first round matchup. But then after that, they play against Tigres. Yeah, that team that basically eliminated them, I believe, last year in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And I know they want to maybe get some some revenge against Tigres, but Tigres is Tigres. I mean, not a lot of team is able to beat Tigres, and especially if Cincinnati, if they don't get a resort in the first leg, and if the first leg is going to be at TKO Stadium and they don't get a resort, you can maybe say that it's game over for Cincinnati, because we talked about many times before where teams, when they go down to Mexico, and probably the most intimidating thing place to play down in Mexico and to get a resort is El Volcan. El Volcan is an absolute house of pain for MLS team to get. I mean, I think when you look at recent history, yes, I know there have been some MLS team that have got some big resort down in El Volcan. Most famously, the Columbus Crew did 2 years ago, and then Toronto FC did it in their run to the CONCACAF Champions Cup final as well. But that is just a rarity. I mean, this Tigres team not only is a very good team once again, but when you're facing against them at home, you are not going to get a resort against them. So yeah, for Cincinnati, even though if they somehow do get by Tigres, it does get maybe a little bit easier. Though they might have to face the light of Seattle and Vancouver, which are not easy team to face in the quarterfinal. But definitely much easier than the likes of Tigres as well. I just think that that game against T-Wiz, that's going to be really tough to try and overcome. And especially, I mean, I'm not saying Cincinnati doesn't have a good roster. They do have a decent roster, but is it enough to overcome the likes of Tigres? I don't think so. Now at number six, we put Nashville here. So I put Nashville relatively low. I mean, I know Nashville fans would probably feel like they should be higher, especially what I praised them in my season preview as well. How this can definitely be one of the team that could be a dark horse in this competition. But obviously, the thing about Nashville is that they have to play against Inter Miami once they most likely is going to win against Atletico Ottawa. I mean, as I said before, no disrespect to the Atletico Ottawa of the CPL champion, but I'm pretty sure Nashville should be able to get by them. And then you have the showdown against Inter Miami, and I mentioned before, this is really the first big test of the season. This is a very great opportunity to finally slay the demon and kind of overcome the ultimate boogeyman that is in Inter Miami. And we'll see whether or not if that is going to be the case, because yeah, I mean, Inter Miami, they are absolutely loaded, and we'll definitely talk about where they end up on this list. Oh, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know where exactly I'm going to put them in this ranking that is. But yeah, I do think that if they can overcome Inter Miami, then you could say that they might have a chance to go far. Though again, they might also run into Club America as well, or maybe even the Philadelphia Union if they're lucky. And if that is the case, then there's a chance they could go deep in this competition, because they've done well against the Philly Union. And I do think that when it comes to their roster, they can definitely go toe to toe with Club America as well. But again, it's just that game against Inter Miami. That's the one that really is going to be a huge test for this team, and especially for a team that has a lot of aspiration, not just in this competition, but also in MLS in general as well, consider themselves a cup contender. Now, at number five, let's say the LA Galaxy. So, of all of these CONCACAF Champions Cup team, or all these MLS team involving in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, I would say the Galaxy is probably one of the weakest team, if not the weakest team out of the nine. And, this is not a disrespect toward the Galaxy, but when you look at the roster itself, I mean, if they had Ricky Puig, I would have definitely put them higher on this list, but because they didn't. And they have got a couple of impact player on their team as well. Don't forget, they're banking that both Peck and Painso will have a better season. They're also banking that Joe Claus would look like his old self before the torn ACL injury. But there's still a lot of things that you got to say that needs to go right for the Galaxy. Now I put them a little bit higher on this list, mainly because they do have a much easier road compared to any other team. I mean, literally their first two opponent that they're going to be facing, they're facing against this team called San Miguelito, and then after that they play this team called Mount Pleasant, which I think this is a team based in Jamaica, if I'm not mistaken, and that is, I think, the only team in the Caribbean region that gets a first round bye. And no disrespect toward that team, but I think the Galaxy probably will have it enough. And then, of course, it does get a little difficult once they get to the quarterfinal because most likely they're going to face against a Liga MX team, unless, of course, they face against San Diego and somehow San Diego surprise everyone by taking down those two Liga MX team and having a very Vancouver Whitecaps kind of type of runs as well. But yeah, because of their easy schedule, I put them a little bit higher on the chart, but I don't expect them to go all the way, even though they do have an easy start to their life in the CONCACAF Champions Cup journey. And then at number 4, it's the Seattle Sounders. So I'm actually going to put the Vancouver Whitecaps at number 3 as well because again, and most likely both of these teams are going to be facing off against each other in the round of 16. I know the Whitecaps does have a first round matchup. Seattle, of course, getting League Cup final that is, but Vancouver, of course, getting this team called Cartagines, and most likely, I think they should be able to win. But then after that, they got a showdown against the Seattle Sounders, and this could be an interesting Cascadia Derby kind of showdown as well. Both of these teams are very good, and I wouldn't be surprised. It can definitely go either way. And then, of course, after that, they might have a chance to face against Tigres, which, I think for both of these Cascadia teams, they will definitely be licking their chop and think that they can definitely take on Tigres and able to get through. I mean, when you look at the Seattle Sounders, they have beaten Tigres before a couple years ago in the Leagues Cup. They were able to beat them. The Vancouver Whitecaps, I mean, if there's one thing we know about the Whitecaps when they face against Liga MX team, they have no fear against them, except if you don't include what happened in the final. That is, this is a team that is absolutely resilient. I mean, if you saw what they did last year, taking down the likes of Rayados and Pumas in the process as well, this team is completely fearless. I think this team is going to be a team that could go deep in this competition. But again, you can say the same thing about the Seattle Sounders as well. Even though, as we'll talk about in just a bit in the news of the week episode, of course they sold Omar Vargas after I did the season preview about the Seattle Sounder. Of course, everything that I said in my season preview revolved in terms of talking about that is now all completely nullified because of the selling of Omar Vargas to Atletico Madrid today. Now, at number 2, I'm going to say LAFC. So yeah, LAFC, I think that this is a team, even though I know there's been talks that Denis Bouanga might be moved to somewhere else as well, and we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that as we go. But for LAFC, just like the Galaxy, they do have a little bit easier path to get themselves into the quarter final. I mean, when I say easy, they first have to play against Real Español, which I think they should be able to beat, and then they of course face against Alajuelense. Alajuelense has struggled against MLS team, and LAFC have already beaten Alajuelense once in the CONCACAF Champions Cup as well, so they're definitely not going to be fearing them. And then after that, they might have to face against the likes of Rayados or Cruz Azul. Cruz Azul will definitely be tough because Cruz Azul has been a very good team lately. I mean, they did win the competition last year as well, but that would be a very good good fight and good easy or good battle between both of these teams. But again, LAFC again with the whole Denis Mwanga situation, we'll see whether or not if they can able to hold on for him, and we'll definitely talk about that a little bit later in the news of the week episode, where the offer that they're getting for him is definitely very lucrative. But then again, we don't really have a lot of days left, at least in the European transfer window. So if they want to make a big replacement for Denis Bouanga, they might even have to look within. And replacing Denis Bouanga is definitely not easy to do whatsoever. Now at number 1, who's gonna be at number 1. I think before the video even began, you kind of knew that this team was gonna be number 1 itself. I mean, it's obviously got to be Inter Miami. They have to be considered to be the most likely to win CONCACAF Champions Cup out of MLS. In fact, if you look at this competition in general, Inter Miami is probably right now the favorites to win this competition. I mean, when you look at all the team in this competition, and that even includes Liga MX's team, that is. I mean, I know there are some really good Liga MX team out there, well, when it comes to the roster and how loaded this Inter Miami team from top to bottom, I mean, it's not just about Messi and the GO himself probably is on a mission to win another continental trophy. But with the signings that they recently made, and they also got their the main number 9 of Rayados in Bertarame, who has done really well in this competition as well. I mean, this is a team that is dead on the favorites to win this competition. Now, that being said, when you look at their road to the final, it is definitely not as easy as last year. Last year it was definitely pretty easy. This year is a little bit tougher. You know, Nashville is definitely going to be a huge test, but there's definitely a lot of Inter Miami fans that are very optimistic the fact that they'll beat Nashville because they kind of own Nashville in the last couple of meetings, and then then they potentially might have to face Club America and the Philadelphia Union. Imagine Inter Miami face against Club America. Keep in mind, Inter Miami have already beaten Club America, albeit it was a preseason game last year and it was in a PK shootout. But when both of them go head to head against each other, I feel like that is if that does happen. I mean, I think people might be rooting for the media because not only MLS fans hate Inter Miami, but if you ask any Liga MX fan or any Mexican fans in general, Club America is the most hated team in Mexico, so everybody's probably going to be rooting for the media if that does happen. And then, of course, after that getting into the semis, they could be facing against another good team in Liga MX. Tigres might be waiting for them, or even the Seattle Sounder or Vancouver, as those teams could also meet them. Imagine we see a rematch of MLS Cup and another rematch of the semifinal that we saw last year between Inter Miami and the Vancouver Whitecaps as well. That should definitely be very fascinating as well. But like I said, as I mentioned with the expectation of this team, and I'll definitely talk about a little bit because I think they're next in my season preview. Talk about Inter Miami. There's a lot of expectation that this team has with how loaded this roster is from top to bottom. There's really no excuse for this team to not go far in this cup competition, and it will definitely be deemed as a failure if this team doesn't go even as far as to the final of this cup competition, especially of how talented this roster is compared to pretty much almost every team that is in this competition in the CONCACAF Champions Cup out of MLS, and maybe even some of those Liga MX team as well. But there you have it. That is pretty much it. Looking at MLS team that I think most likely could win the CONCACAF Champions Cup this year. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you do, make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.